I've never had the opportunity to talk to a law firm on air. So this is kind of a new, exciting experience for me today. Cole Dixon is here. He's a partner and trial attorney with Schwabel, Getz, and Sieben. And Cole, thank you for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.
So this is interesting. You guys, you say you're a partner and a trial attorney with Schwabel, Getz, and Sieben. I think a lot of times people have questions about what do firms do. There's three names. Is it better when there's three names versus one name? Those kind of things. But I guess when you're talking about what you guys actually focus on at your law firm, what would that be?
We are focused 100% on personal injury cases. So car accident cases, slip and falls, dog bites, construction cases, pretty much anytime you're injured due to the fault of someone else, those are the cases that we do. And that's all that we do. And we've been doing it for over 50 years and we're really good at it.
Yeah. I always think about what is the behind the scenes at a law firm like yours? You know, how many people are working on each case? And, you know, you've got your attorneys, right? And you've got your lawyer, but now you've got somebody that's coming saying, hey, I need some help and I don't know what to do. And you must have a really great team of people that get behind them.
We do. We have over 20 attorneys at our firm. We have about 100 employees total. So, you know, each attorney has at least one or two legal secretaries. We each have our own paralegals. So, you know, when you hire Schwabel, Getz, and Sieben, you're getting a really significant team effort. Not only just your attorney, but we kind of work on all the cases together as well. You know, when we're discussing cases, we have attorney meetings. So you're getting, 20 different attorneys' input on, what course of action you should take, what the value of the case is. Is this a case that should go to trial and what should we do at trial? So, when you hire our law firm, you're not just getting us, you're getting myself or, an individual attorney, you're getting a full team of, 100 plus people.
So you're really good advice. So because you may be somebody that goes, I don't know what to do about this. Here's my situation. They come in, they tell you their story, and then you guys tell them, this is what we think you should or shouldn't do.
Yeah, I'd say
that move forward.
Yeah, that's about every phone call we get from people is like, this happened to me. I have no idea what to do. What do I do? And, the thing we basically get involved in about every phone call I take from someone, I say, the best thing about getting me involved or a law firm involved is we take care of everything.
Wow.
Your only job is to go to the doctor and get better, and we will take care of every single thing on this case for you. We'll work with you to get your car fixed or, any property damage. We'll make sure that all your medical bills are getting taken care of, your wage loss is getting paid. And, if it's a case that, the insurance company or the defendant, fighting us tooth and nail, we'll go to trial on this case for you, which, that's a big thing about our firm. We're a trial law firm. Yeah. When I was hired by Jim Schwabel, that's the one thing we are a trial law firm. We try cases and the insurance company knows that. And that's why our clients are treated better, with Schwabel, Getz, and Sieben than others, because they know that if they're going to fight us on it, we're going to go to court.
Yeah, and then they're going to have to defend their position.
Exactly.
I know people get very nervous about insurance companies, and a lot of times they just think, well, this happened to me. They're an insurance company. It's just little old me. There's nothing I can do, right? I mean, that's kind of what a lot of people think sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's intimidating, right? You're going up against a billion-dollar insurance company, and you're, yourself and just trying to get through the situation that you're in. And the good thing about, like I said, we take care of everything. So we get involved and once we do represent someone, we are the only person that contacts the insurance company. The insurance company can't contact our clients without our permission anymore. But we take care of all that, and we go battle with the insurance company for our clients because we have the resources and the people to do that.
Do you often find people that say, gosh, I was in, let's say, this accident. I haven't been able to work. I honestly live paycheck to paycheck, so I don't even know if I can afford an attorney. Do you have a lot of people that are worried about those things?
Oh, yes, 100%. I mean, a lot of people, that's the first thing they ask is, am I paying you for this phone call right now? And,
right.
We tell them, no, we work for free for our clients until we get some kind of a recovery for them. So we work on a contingency fee, which just means that it's contingent on us getting a recovery for you. If we work on your case for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you never write us a check for any of the work that we do. We work on it, until we get you a recovery, and that's how we get paid is we take a percentage of that recovery. Yeah. But there's never a situation, if you're missing work that all of a sudden, hey, here's our monthly invoice where you owe us $1,000. That's not how it works. We're always going to put you in a better position than you'd be on your own. And like I said, unlike a lot of lawyers that, like I said, you have to hire them and write them a check the day you meet them, and you don't know what kind of help you're going to get, right?
Right.
Well, with us, if we represent you, if we get a case that we have to, it's a case that we can settle, it's always our client's decision to settle that.
Okay.
So they'll know the day it settles how much money they're going to get, how much our fees are. So they know the kind of representation they get before they have to, pay anything or anything like that, which is pretty, extraordinary compared to, like I said, a lot of other, when people think of a lawyer, they think, oh, like I said, this is going to be really expensive. I'm not going to be able to afford this, but that's not how we work.
See, that's so important for people to know. I always worry about those things, and I'm just like everybody else. It's like, boy, what would I ever do if I needed to call an attorney? Who would I call? Which one how do I know when you're finding, like you've been able to explain to me, you've got a whole team that can help support, right? The whole team is there, which is so important. But an average person has really no idea what's going on.
No, not at all. Like I said, that's why, you get in an accident, you get hurt by someone that it wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
Call our law firm. We hold your hand. We walk you through it from day one until the very end.
So what happens if someone calls and says, I need to talk to you. This is a situation. And you guys agree, you look at all the things. Is there ever a situation where you go, we don't think that you should probably do this, and this is why? Do you let people know that up front and let them make a decision if they want to, pursue a case?
Yeah. I mean, if it's a case that we don't think is a viable case, we tell them we don't just want to, get retained by a client and then just to give them bad news 3 months later that it's not a case we can help out on, right?
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that we evaluate all the cases and that it is an actual viable claim and that, we're not just kind of turning our wheels here trying to, make the client happy with something we can't do. But that's why if we take a case on, it's a case that we believe strongly in. Yeah. It's a case that, we don't want to take on a new client if we're not willing to go to the distance for them and go to trial on it, So we take these cases on knowing that, if it's a case that needs to be litigated and going in front of a jury in Minnesota or any other state in the Midwest, then it's one that we're willing to do that. And we kind of start prepping that from the day the case first comes into the door.
Right. And I'm sure you guys always want to get through these cases as quickly as possible. It's not always possible. Why is it? Why is it that sometimes cases go on for a year or more?
Well, how much time do you got, right? It's
you got 10 minutes, I'm not sure.
a million different reasons, So sometimes it just depends on the nature and extent of the injuries, right, that someone sustains in a car accident or any other type of accident that they're involved. Or it could be a situation where there's an issue about who caused the accident, right? Okay. So if you got for example, like a car accident where, a person calls us and they said, I was going through an intersection on a green light and I was T-boned by this other car. But this other car told the police that he had a green light. Yeah. Right. So now it's, who had the green light, right? So that's the thing is like if cases where there's an issue about who was at fault, or if it was an issue where someone has an injury from this accident, but they had a similar injury for a year before that or something like that. Okay. Those are the type of things where sometimes the case might take a little longer because those are the issues when you have to actually litigate the case and file a lawsuit, take depositions. And those are the cases that sometimes end up going to trial because those issues are there. Yeah. And, you might not be looking towards a resolution for a year plus after the accident actually occurs. So it just really depends on the facts of the accident and the injuries and how long it takes them to get better and, what future problems they might face because of it. So there's a lot of moving parts that can go into the timeline from the date of accident to the date that everything's done. That makes sense because if somebody's hurt and they're not through maybe physical therapy yet, or you don't know how long it's going to be, or there's more surgeries that they have to have year after year after year, you probably wouldn't know exactly how much to settle a claim for, right? So you don't have a final figure in some cases. Exactly. Sometimes when we get initial calls, people will be like, well, how much do you think my case is worth? And I was like, I don't know yet, right? Yeah. Because it's a lot of things happen. So, sometimes someone gets in an accident and they have a sore neck and they're going to a chiropractor, like you said, physical therapy. And, maybe at that point in time, the damages aren't significant right at that point. But what happens if they go do that for 3 months and it's still not better? And then they get an MRI on their neck and then they got a herniated disc and then they have to have surgery. Yeah. Well, then things have changed drastically, right? So in the timeline, we really don't work towards resolving anything until we have a full understanding of how hurt our clients are. Yes. Because you don't want to resolve a case when they're still having issues and we don't know what the future is going to entail from them, right? Yeah. A lot of times on these cases, we will need reports from our clients' treating physicians, whether it's a surgeon or a chiropractor or a neurologist, whatever it might be. And those doctors, if our clients are hurt enough, we'll get a report from them. Will they say, well, this is a permanent injury. They might need X, Y, or Z for treatment in the future. Those are the things that we need. That's when we can kind of start evaluating what this case is worth, when we know, okay, they're going to need X amount of dollars in future medical expenses.
Yeah.
They're restricted from working for the next year, so they're going to have significant wage loss. They can't go golfing anymore or go fishing or whatever hobbies they do, the pain and suffering
life-changing.
Those pain and suffering damages are the one thing that are a lot of times that insurance companies act like don't exist. Right. Well, their medical bills are X, their wage loss is this, so that's what it's worth. Well, Minnesota law allows clients to pursue pain and suffering as well. Yeah. So those are, for everybody, pain and suffering is different too, right? So if someone's just sitting around playing video games or whatever, a neck injury, a back injury might not affect them as much as someone who's running marathons or doing much more active.
Sure.
So every injury is going to affect people differently, and everybody's an individual. That's why it's called personal injury, right? So if me and you have the same injury, it might affect us differently.
Makes sense.
So we got to wait until someone treats and see what like I said, how their life is affected and what their total treatment's looking like before we want to, work towards resolution of any claim.
You were talking about all this experience that, Schwabel Getson Sieben has, behind the scenes. You've got over 100 employees working with you and a lot of different attorneys that kind of work together kind of on cases as well. So how important is it? I mean, there's some people that sometimes they'll see something on TV and they'll go, oh, you know what? I'm just going to represent myself. How much can a person miss out on when they're trying to do something that you guys have years and years of training, and there's so many things that that they need to try to explain to somebody? You need more than just yourself if you don't have training in this field. Yeah,
I mean, that's a great question. That's a huge deal because we do get a lot of calls from someone like 6 months after the accident or a year after the accident. Well, this insurance company's offered me $20,000. And to anybody, that's a lot of money, right? Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes after that, we have that initial discussion, they'll be like, well, okay, how much are your medical bills? Your medical bills are $50,000. How much work did you miss? You missed 3 months of work, so your wage loss is $20,000. Well, $20,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money now, right?
Yeah.
So, talking to an attorney at Schwabel, Getson Sieben, we are always going to get a lot more value than, someone's going to be able to get on their own because we know how the system works. We know what damages that the insurance company needs to consider when they're evaluating your claim. Yeah. Like I just said, the pain and suffering aspect. If you're handling that on your own, that insurance adjuster is not going to consider any of that for you, right? And they just want to dangle some money in your, to kind of get you to bite at it and then want to kind of get done with you. Where we get involved, we work your case up, we talk to your doctors, we get those reports that I was talking about. We talk to you, we talk to your family and your friends about, what have you seen change in them because of this accident, of these injuries. And then, we might be able to calculate those damages and get them, maybe they're 5 times what they're offering you, right? But if you don't deal with this every day and talk to these adjusters like we do every day, you would never know that, right? So, and calling us is free. So, maybe you call us and we say, yeah, that's probably what your case is worth. And then you don't owe us anything for that, advice. We just kind of can walk you through the process. But we can always generate a lot more for these clients than most of the time when they can do on their own. Sure. Yeah, because they're not thinking about all of those other extra steps. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you have a lot of times where, and it's horrible to think about, that terrible things can happen to families, and maybe a spouse or something is in a coma and the other person is like, I have to do something about this to support them the rest of their lives. So now they're speaking on behalf of the person that was actually injured, right? They can come to you and explain their story and you can work on their behalf. Yeah, that happens a lot. We handle a lot of like wrongful death claims. Even, someone passes away in an accident of some sorts, and we deal with the family directly. Like Minnesota, if someone gets killed in a car accident or something like that, you have to get like a trustee appointed for the family. That trustee kind of acts like the spokesperson for all the next of kin. Mm-hmm. So for, if a father passes away, so his children would have a claim, his wife would have a claim. But a trustee gets appointed, and we work with the family to pursue damages for the loss of companionship, support, and aid of whoever passed away. Or if someone, like you said, in a coma, right? A lot of times you'll have to get like a representative appointed through like the probate court to act on their behalf. But we kind of handle all that for them.
Okay.
It's not just the actual like claim itself. There's a lot of these preliminary aspects that we have to walk them through, and the trustee and all those things that in order to actually pursue the claim on their behalf.
Okay. Well, I know we only got like 3 minutes or so, but you're here in studio today. Why was it important for, a partner to personally invest time in central Minnesota?
Well, Schwabel, Getz, and Sieben, for over 50 years, we've been representing people all across the state of Minnesota, right? And in central Minnesota, just like anywhere else, there needs to be a strong personal injury presence here. And this is all that we do.
Okay.
And we have the resources and the attorneys and the staff to go fight these insurance companies for the people here in the St. Cloud area and in central Minnesota. We have an office here, so we meet our clients here. It's not inconvenient for them. A lot of times these cases end up in litigation. We take depositions. We can do that in St. Cloud. If we have to have a mediation or if the client wants to just meet us, we come here and we meet them in person in our office in St. Cloud. And we just thought it was important that we just show a really strong presence here that, Schwabel, Getz, and Sieben is here for these people and really to fight for them and really to do everything we can to help them if, they're in some kind of life-changing, life-altering accident. Yeah. That's the things that we do.
So good that you're in studio explaining these things to people. And I hope that they understand that and know if they've had something happen and they've been afraid to kind of reach out for help thinking, I'm just going to give up. There's nothing I can do. Maybe they can reach out now and find the help that they need. How do they get a hold of Schwabel, Getz, and Sieben? What's the first thing they should do? Call, stop by?
They can call. They can go on our website, which is at schwabel.com. It's schwebel.com. We have a really slick online inquiry. They fill out basically an email kind of, it submits, and you'll get a call from an attorney in our office right away. If they call our office, you don't talk to a paralegal or anything. You get directed right to an attorney.
Oh, good.
Okay. And if we represent you, you have a direct contact to your attorney at all times. So you're never wondering what the status is of your case or what's going on, or I haven't heard from this attorney. You have a lot of times our cell phone, our direct dial number. So we're here 24/7. Any day, we take calls on the weekends, we're here for our clients whenever they need to talk to us.
That's nice. It takes the stress off of these difficult situations off of them, right? It's like, let us handle it. Let's take the weight off your back so you can get back to doing what you need to do.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the one thing, you get in an accident, call us. We take care of everything, right? Yeah. We kind of act as a shield between you and the insurance company. We take the burden off your shoulders and then we get to work on it and you can focus on what's important. That's your recovery. That's getting your life as close to back to normal as you can.
Cole, thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate some time. It's Cole Dixon from Schwabel, Getz, and Sieben.